Or are you a high-paid employee working for a psycho? Let's get started.
I'm more Kevin's deal. I'm more Kevin's deal. I'm here to help and teach him what I know and how I did it. To discover freedom. There ain't no question more Kevin's when he step in the door. He's closing deals. Time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker. But I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker.
Hey there, it's your host, Mark Evans, DM. That's right, coming to you from Parkland, Florida. Actually, a lot going on over here, guys and gals. And again, I just want to stop for a second and say thank you guys so much for sharing the show, getting it out there to people, and posting it on, sending me messages privately about how powerful the show number 14 is, or 2 is, or whatever. And it just means so much to me. And then going to iTunes and giving me props over there. Guys, again, this show's for us, me and you. I love to share. This is a great outlet for me to multiply my voice and just share direct with you guys. I have no financial model here. The motto is to help you. And if this show does inspire you and help you, please keep sharing it. Please keep it going. As the stats keep going up, I get more excited. I want to do more shows. I want to bring on cool guests. My job and my agenda here is just to simply share real stuff. It's not always easy. Some weeks I'll miss. You'll see that in the gaps in the shows, because I want to share shit with you that is meaningful. I don't want to just share it because I think I need to. I want to share stuff that actually will help, things that I'm going through or have went through that I can sit down and, conversate about it, to give you the guidance and, inspiration, I hope, and some clarity, if you will, as you're growing into this business owner that you're becoming and or already are. But then there's multiple levels and multiple stages. So the only thing I would ask is, if you have something that you're dealing with direct, get over to Instagram and shoot me a message. Say, Mark, this is what I'm dealing with. I won't use your name, but I'd love to help create shows that will help you guys, the listeners, directly, like to the core. And, feel free to share. Like I said, I won't use your name. I'll just, it helps me help you. It's kind of like in school, like no one knows you need help until you raise your hand, right? So that's what we got going on there. And I do appreciate that, and it means a lot to me. So we're coming up to the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all this stuff. Some people are scrambling, trying to make their goals for 2019, while others are sitting there dreaming about 2020. And I want you to understand, like, a lot of people talk about different ways to set goals and all that stuff. And I've bought every daily planner, every manual. I've bought all that shit. Find something that works for you. It could be yellow notepad and paper. It could be on your cell phone these days, because back in when I was starting and they didn't have cell phones like they do now, where you could manage your stuff. The key is what I like to do is have things that you got going on daily and measure. Like if you're supposed to work out twice a day or once a day, measure, take score, keep score of what's going on. A scale of 1 to 10, how hard did you go today? 5. If you got 5 days of that, that's a problem. We need to change something, right? Same thing with your calling, same thing with your follow-up, same thing with your business building, same thing with your relationships with your spouses or your kids. Or are you making it to all their school meetings? Are you making it to all their sports events and such? These are things I'm constantly trying to keep score of, because it does matter. I talked about that on one of the shows, right? It matters. So find something that works for you, because I get people asking all the time, like, Mark, what do you use? What do you use? I'm looking at it. I have a basic piece of paper, white pad and paper, and I write my stuff in there daily, right? This morning at 5:00 in the morning, I'm there jotting stuff down. I actually got my yacht trip coming up, December, 7th through the 14th in the BVIs. We got an event prior to that, 3 days prior to that, 4th through the 7th, with 36 people in the BVIs, and we're just getting ready. And I kind of like to think about that stuff, and I'm not always in the creative mood, right? Sometimes when you're implementation, you're not in creative, so you got to kind of figure out how to isolate that. At least I do. I got to go to quiet space in the morning. Typically is when I'm the most creative, because I don't have all this crazy noise going on throughout the day. I'm just straight implementation now. So for you guys and listening, what's your days look like? Have you so there's 2 sides of this, I guess I'm going to share with you today. One, what's your day look like today? The reason I'm asking this, I ask a lot of people this. Most people don't really have a day planned out. Their day controls them. They don't control the day. And again, I get that. Sometimes that will happen, but it should not be all the time. So you need to have a calendar. You need to have a page that in the morning up at this time, do this, do this, do this, do that. And if you follow me on Instagram, I share my schedule with you guys in front of you. You're going to see a lot of consistencies at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, and at the end of the day. A lot of my buddies jokingly say, Mark, you eat like a senior citizen, because I eat I have dinner at 5:30ish typically is what I like to eat. But you guys got to remember, I'm getting up at 4:30, 4:44 in the morning So I'm up, I'm cranking, I'm ready to roll. That's my time. And then, right, so I'm just sharing similarities. Like almost every morning, 7 days a week, I'm getting up that early, right? 4-ish in the morning. And then I'm cranking. And then I'm working out. I'm usually meeting my trainer. If I'm my trainer's with me that week, 6 a.m. And we're going to hit it hard for an hour, right? Then I get home. But on the way home, I make 3 phone calls, right? I'm typically calling people. My dad is one of them. And I'm calling them, just saying, touch your base. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I got a 20-minute drive, right? So I'm being productive on my time. Sometimes I just shut the radio off and roll down the windows and roll, though, as well. But again, consistencies. I get home, I do my thing. I go straight to the office and do whatever I do, like get ready for the day, whatever that looks like. Because keep in mind, I've already planned a little bit from 5 to 5:30 before I left. And then conference calls. Oftentimes 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. is when our calls are. Actually, today when I'm talking to you, I got one at 10:30 to 12 with my media company, where we talk about all the big stuff. What's going on? Hey, here's the new events we got going on for, the staff. Because we got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got New Year's. So we're going to set that up and conversate about it. So I have a lot of calls like that, but that's not me driving them. That's me participating in them. See, in the beginning, a lot of this stuff we got to drive, and that's fine because I had to do that for many years. But my team's driving now. I'm just there kind of like listening to help and guide and just drop some knowledge. So I've worked on my unique ability, but I'll get to that in a second. So I do all that and then try to have lunch by noonish, right? 12 to 1, somewhere around there. And then once I'm done, back at it. My texting, calling, emailing, conference call, whatever it is, writing a book, recording a podcast show. I'm usually pretty much done by 5-ish p.m., if not sooner. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm done actually by 3:30 because I go to Taekwondo with my son and my wife. All of us, we go there and watch them. And then once we get done with all that, we kind of come home, clean up, and go to dinner or have dinner at the house, of course, right? So it's like things change. You got to zig and zag. It's not always easy and convenient, but it's like, what's important to you? What's important to me is family. It really is. I love to hang out. I love to wake up with my family in the morning. When I get back from the gym, they're just getting up or about to get up. So I can kind of say, when Drea comes up, like she's getting up and Dina's holding her, I'm like, oh my gosh, good morning, Drea. Like you guys sometimes will see me on Instagram doing that. She's so cute. She'll just smile ear to ear. Mark the same way. Every morning, he's got to say good morning, Dad. And, I'm just trying to program, and I just love that side of my life that we've been able to create through understanding unique ability and building a business to allow me this opportunity. So that's kind of my daily schedule. 7 days a week, like I said, Saturdays, Sundays are very similar too. I'm doing stuff, I'm growing, and not that, I might jump in the pool sometimes, I might hang out, but I genuinely have so much drive to do so much more. And I feel like I've barely done anything. And don't get me wrong, there's some days I'm ultra anxious when I'm hanging out with the fam and I'm trying to be super present. There's just a lot going on, especially right now. When I say there's a lot going on, it might be an understatement. It's that weird feeling like you're like, how the hell is all this going to get done? What is going to happen? It's going to be wild. So I bring that up because I want you guys to understand chaos is a real thing. Chaos happens. And a lot of people don't have any chaos going on, which is always funny to me because if you don't have any chaos going on, you're lying to yourself and or you have lots of chaos and you just don't even know what chaos is. In businesses, my team knows that chaos is a good thing. Controlled chaos. We thrive on chaos. We know chaos creates opportunities. We know that's when most people stop. So recently in one of our companies, we had a couple things break that cost real money. To be exact, high 6 figures, almost 7 figures in issues. And I don't get mad about that. I get excited about that because every time something like that happens, I know we see another new top marker, right? I know the business is growing because as they're called growing pains. A lot of times people shut down They get frustrated. They see the obstacle and they don't know how to get through the weeds. So they just collapse. I know this is true because I've consulted many companies, and their number one reason why most people don't get out of the weeds is because they can't see out of the weeds. They don't even know. They know they're in the weeds. They just don't know what the path is to escape, to get out. So I want to say something, and you might not understand it yet, but you will eventually. But sometimes when you're in the weeds so deep, you have to subtract to multiply. You actually have to pull backwards and slow down for a second to actually multiply the results. And it sounds very counterproductive. I'm actually helping a company right now. They have about 15 employees. They're doing about, I don't even know, probably about 25 million a year. And the main guy, the COO, he's just lost. And, he's tapped out. He's freaking out. He's really causing massive disruption in a company with people. And we need to figure out what the solution is. And I know the solution. The solution's simple. Get out of the situation. Like, he has to escape. He has to walk away for a while, let the dust settle and see what's really going on. So typically when shit hits the fan, we tend to want to jump in and solve the problem and drive people harder. The truth is, what you need to do is step back and say, hey, where is the opportunity to maximize revenue? Because everything we're talking about here right now, guys, by the way, is revenue solves problems. If this company was making revenue to the level they should be, there would not be any of these problems. And sometimes, with that said, revenue hides problems as well. Because when markets are hot, you can still be making money, but shit could still be hitting the fan or brewing in the background, ready to hit the fan when something hiccups. So I can tell you this, and this is smart people. These are very smart people. So even us, this is why you always got to be learning. This is why masterminds are good. This is why, getting high-level consultants are good. Pay someone $10,000 for a day or $25,000, whatever they charge. Pay them if you feel like they can help you and guide you. Because the truth is, what guys like me and other guys that do that, and I only do a couple of those a year, but what's good about it is we see around the corners. We have no emotional attachment to it. Obviously you do, that's not a problem. Well, it is a problem, but it's to be expected. But we want to be able to step back and give you direct action. Here's what you need to do. And you're going to be scared. You're going to be frustrated and overwhelmed. But ideally, when you pay someone that's in your interest, what's going to happen is they're going to give you a lot more confidence than you've had in the last 6 months or 6 years, floundering around in this system. And just to be straight up with you guys, if you're listening to me and you've been in business for 5 to 10 years and you're still not making $1 million a year, well, that's you. It has nothing to do about the business. It has something to do with you and your mindset. And you could combat that and say, well, Mark, I want a lifestyle. Well, I can tell you for sure, you can make $1 million a year with a lifestyle business, 100%. And we're going to talk about business and, all that stuff here in a second, but there's lots of ways to do that. So I wish everything I'm sharing with you guys, by the way, I wish I knew. I was making a lot of money for the first 9 years of my business, but not millions of dollars. And, I was making it, but I was burning it just as quickly as possible in the background. Hence why I almost went bankrupt twice, right? So I told everyone I was a business owner, and I believed it. That's even scarier. But what I was a high-level paid employee for a psycho. I worked for a psycho myself. I worked for me, and I was making decent money, more money than anybody would ever pay me, right? At a job, if you will. But I think what I'm seeing out there in the marketplace is a lot of people think they own a business when they really don't. And again, it's okay. All I'm trying to do is bring this to the forefront so we can actually identify really what the situation is and make real assessments and know how to proceed forward to get the growth that you're seeking. And you can't be frustrated saying my business isn't growing if you don't have a business, right? It sounds kind of silly, but I'm telling you, I talked to a lot of people dude, my business hasn't grown in 2 years. Well, show me your business. They show me what they're doing. They don't have a business. They have a job. That's the reason why it's not growing. That's why they're always stuck in the middle of everything. And again, that's fine. Businesses, I don't even know the proper, I guess we could look it up, but a business to me, just in my context, is you own a business that works with or without you. It runs, it produces revenue, it hires, it fires, it grows, it expands. Not to say you shouldn't be involved in some of that, but that's what a real business does. Secondly, A business is something that gets built to be sold. It can be sold. It doesn't have to be sold, but it's built with the mindset of being sold. A lot of people are building business. When I say businesses, their term of business, and there's nothing sellable. There's no sellable business. They don't have SOPs. They don't have processes. They don't have culture. They don't, like it's like, hey, what's your business? Oh, I just wake up and get shit done. Well, that's not a business, right? That's a chaotic job for a psycho. And we have to really start thinking about this, because you're going to wake up 10 years from now. Hopefully, that's the goal, right? And you're either going to be closer or further away from your goals financially and emotionally and all that above. So we need to build a business that actually can build, operate, scale, and if you ultimately wanted to, sell that business. There's lots of ways to do that, and I'm not going down that path today, but I would love to hear what kind of business you own. What does it look like? How is it running or not running with or without you? What's the goals? What's the hiccups and all that fun stuff, right, that we all have to deal with? But as you're growing this, and even I'm tossing this to you, you might get frustrated and see an obstacle here. You might even go back and revert back to your old ways, which we typically do, right? Like, oh, bullshit, Evans, you don't know what you're talking about. I really have a business. It's just different. I've heard that every single time, by the way. Anytime I show someone how to do marketing with email, like, you don't understand, my business is different. It's no different than in business is business. See, that's the difference is as a business owner, you need to be open to testing. And listen, it might not be exactly the same, but there will be a lot of similarities with all businesses. And I'm involved in multiple types of companies, from media to real estate to publishing to, I think I said media, like everything in between. Like I've been involved, motorcycle company. Oh my gosh, like so many companies. So I want you to understand that they all have tons of similarities, and you can do it. You can build something way bigger than you, believe it or not. And depending where you're at financially and business-wise right now, you might be thinking I'm crazy. You just need to pay the bills. And you do. But what gets you to where you're at is not going to get you to where you want to go. So that's why we need to start thinking about that. We're coming to the end of 2019. Hopefully you're doing some planning for Q1 of 2020. Because did you hit your goals? What was the hiccups? Where was the problems? Did you hire enough people? What were your real goals? Because when I say real goals, because a lot of people secretly don't share their real goals. They share goal numbers that they think they can hit to protect their ego. But the real goals are the number that scares the holy bejesus out of you. Like, dude, if I say this out loud around the wrong person, someone's going to call me crazy. That's a good thing. Because if that's happening, you're hanging out with the wrong people, number one. And number two, if you're hanging out with us and the DM family or DM Alliance, typically people are setting goals so low and we're like, dude, you could do 10 times that. And then they get the confidence to believe it. And then guess what? They go out and execute it and overdo it. They make more than the 10x of their initial goal. So a lot of people are setting very low targets to protect their ego. And I'm telling you guys, if you're not hitting the 7-figure number, by year 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, or whatever, we need to look at what you're doing or what you're not doing and start analyzing and growing, subtracting to multiply the efforts. We got to get bigger pops. Right now has never been easier to really crank up revenue. Your buyers are on the interweb. They're everywhere. So we just need to figure out what the hook is, what the angle and strategy is to extract these people, to put them in your pipeline and start producing revenue and build a real business. And there's lots of ways to build businesses, right? You could be a consultant. You could be, selling services. You could be selling car. I mean, there's umpteen millions different ways. But really, you got to create revenue. You got to, look at, do you want to be the Walmart in your industry, or do you want to be the Nordstrom in your industry? That's a big difference, by the way. Do you want to have a recurring revenue model, which is always good for business resells? Recurring revenue actually gets a bigger multiple when you go to sell because that's predictable income. And then, what kind of business are you in? Or is the industry? Is there any extensions? Who are you looking to sell to? Do you even know who would buy your company if you want to sell it? And I got a little thing for you guys to do. I would like you to call some business brokers and talk to them about your business and see what it would sell for. What's the multiples in the industry you're in? What do you need to get to the business model to sell? How much revenue? Because you may not know this, but it's a lot easier to sell companies for many millions of dollars than it is $500,000. typically, right? Because the people looking that have that money, they want to jump into real revenue. No one's looking, I'm not looking to buy a company that's producing $40,000 a year. That's not, if it can't produce $1 million a year minimum, I'm not even interested in looking at buying it. Not to say you couldn't. I'm just saying, like, there's different levels on those levels. And depending where you're at in your career or journey, you're looking, where can I place my money to get the biggest bang for my buck globally? Maybe it's a strategic play to buy and just shut down. Maybe it's a strategic play to buy your company for your SOPs and your team, XYZ, like all that. Like, these are things company buyers are looking for and thinking about. So it'd be a good task, a good action step to contact some local business brokers, sit down with them and talk to them about what kind of business you're in, what you're looking to do, and what would it have to look like? What do you need to create a sellable asset? And then when you do create it, what is the multiple of that, of EBITDA? Are you getting a 2X or a 10X, right? Because if you're going to put your efforts into something, why not get the maximum multiple that you can? And I'm not saying this is the only reason to build a company, by the way, based off the multiple. I'm just saying, like, if it's very similar and it's the same path, just a different angle or a different word even, sometimes it could be that simple, by the way. You might get a 3X to a 6X. That's 100% difference in your revenue that you could take home on a sell. So I want you to start thinking about this. We got a lot of cool stuff. I want you guys all to become business owners, not just hardworking people making decent money. I want you to become a real business owner. I want you to have real infrastructure. I want you to have amazing teams. And that's probably one of the best things I love about building a business. I was thinking about that today on my workout, is when I was running, is like how amazed I am of my team. I care about these people so much. I think about them every day, for real. It may sound silly, but it's not silly to me because it's like my life. I think about them. I want them to have amazing lives. I want them to buy their dream homes. I want them to have massive revenue streams as they grow old and have families and more families. Their kids have kids. And, all that stuff to me is like so important. And it's not for everybody, because not everyone succeeds in our company, because some people are just lazy. But the ones that stick it out and, work hard and do the thing that they need to do, they can develop into some amazing, amazing people. And they are amazing people already, but they can develop and become more amazing, and get more access to opportunities, because we're very entrepreneurial style companies. So, the door, there's no window, there's no ceilings, I should say, with our companies. So that's culture, that's thinking. And today's kind of just me talking about stuff I've been thinking about for the last couple of days with all the craziness and chaos going on. But really what it comes down to, I'm just grateful that I'm able to travel like I had to with the deaths and the family, hang out with my family like I'm able to, because I built a company to allow me to do that. And more importantly, I set parameters for me to do that. It starts with you, by the way. It always starts with you. What do you want? And I want to be home. I want to be around my kids. I want to be around my wife. I want to do the things with the family. That's important to me. Even sometimes when I don't want to do it, I need to do it because it's important. So, yes, you could always make more. Yes, you could always be somewhere else. But we got to start structuring this to build for us, build with us. How does it multiply together? And you start creating a compound effect. You're going to wake up 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. You're either going to be closer or further away from your goals. So just thinking about you guys over here, I want to say I hope you have an amazing day. Keep me posted. Make sure to follow me over on Instagram and Facebook at Mark Evans DM. And if this show is important to you or positive to you, please feel free to share. Please do a post. Tag me on it. Let me know what's going on. Shoot me a private message. Let me know how I could better serve you and better help you on where you're at and where you want to go. And I'm being serious. I really do care about that stuff. And I will make every effort I can to give you the most value that I have available. And if I don't know the answers, which I typically don't, I will contact someone to help us get on one of these meetings, this conference calls, or however we do it for this podcast show, and I'll get the answers for you. And I'll do my best to make that a reality. So I'm going to bounce off here. I got a ton of stuff to do today, but I thought I'd squeeze this in here before the day really takes over. And if you need anything, like I said, feel free to reach out. I appreciate you being here. Hope you have an amazing day. If I don't talk to you before the holidays, have an amazing Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and let's fucking crush 2020. Look forward to it. Happy DM day. Peace.
I'm Mark Evans DM. I'm here to help and teach them what I know and how I did it to discover freedom. There ain't no question Mark Evans when he step in the door. He's closing deals. Time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker, but I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker. The journey's where it's at. It's all about the process. It's time to get over to the DM project. From a small town in Ohio, so I know how it is. And I come from a lot of money. I remember as a kid principals and teachers are alive just to witness this. I'm my own boss, I'm out here running 2-8-figure businesses. I can walk away from it all and I'll be good, but I've been called to help people just like y'all learn the game. It's time to ball. Everybody chasing the money, but I'm not chasing the money. I'm out here chasing the purpose, yo, I've been working my whole life. What got us where we at isn't gonna get us where we wanna go. So it's time to push, time to learn, time to grow. I'm Mark Evans, DM. I'm here to help and teach them what I know and how I did it to discover freedom. There ain't no question Mark Evans when he step in the door. He's closing deals. Time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker, but I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker. The journey's where it's at. It's all about the process. It's time to get over to the DM project. I'm Mark Evans here. Deal maker.